Hey, how are you doing? I am Dr. Kenute White, and you're listening to Kenute Exploration. That's to learn a bit. So, want to teach a bit, want you to learn a bit, and we continue with dynamics of diversity in organizations. And this is part two. I have I have done I did part one a couple weeks ago. If you look, you will find part one dynamics of diversity in organizations. This is part two. Part one you will find in the link in this description. Just click on it and you will find part one. But look, Dr. Annette Clarke will be the professor, your lecturer for this part. And you will you will get to understand the whole tools, the tools that are used in diversity training in organizations. Annette will explain a lot more to you, as she will not come in to you live like I am sitting and you're seeing me, but she will be giving the presentation. Nice creativity from Dr. Clarke. She had done well in terms of putting the PowerPoints together. Let's hear Dr. Clarke um, coming into us.
My name is Annette Clarke, presently pursuing an educational degree in organizational leadership. Today, I will be doing the second segment of Chapter 9 book review, which entitled Application Training Culturally Competent Organizations. Canute, my co-partner, did the first segment. The cultural imperative tool in action. There are 6 steps that are required in establishing a cultural assessment of an organization. They are assembling an assessment team, identifying the department culture within the spiral dynamic stages, assessing cultural competence capacity, quantitatively measuring departmental skills and behaviors, combining the assessment components, preparing the report and recommendations for management. Assembling an assessment team. Assessment team, both organizational and departmental, are team-based oriented and can comprise of small or large membership sizes. The team should be diversified as a representation of the organization. In order for findings and recommendations to be valued, there should be representation and participation from all major functions and should be supported by the departmental leadership. Identifying the departmental culture within the spiral dynamics stages. Identifying the characteristics of organizational and departmental cultures are of paramount importance in the whole process of establishing a cultural assessment of an organization. This is based on the fact that both cultures impose tremendous influence on the character and outcome of a cultural competence assessment. This assessing cultural competence capacity. Cultural competence capacity is measured by creating no more than 30 yes or no questions to ascertain if cultural competence exists based on the Lowen framework. Several generic cultural competence indicators are available and are standards in which the culture and languages of the department and organization are evaluated. The cultural competence scale is used as an internal evaluation to assess the organization and department guidelines, to answer questions on the scale and to come to some amicable agreement about the answers. The answers are similar to a 5-point Likert, which is used to give a general assessment of the department, such as physical structures, signage, consumer brochures, training programs, availability of interpreters for clients.
And that's the voice of Dr. Annette Clarke, continuing the part two of our lecture in dynamics of diversity in organization. This is Dr. Canute White. You're listening to Canute Exploration, your topic in a podcast, to learn a bit segment. Just want to teach a bit. Dr. Annette Clarke is on the floor, continuing part two, looking at tools in action as it relates to diversity training.
Quantitatively measuring departmental skills and behaviors. In this area, employees are assessed in areas regarding cultural competencies. The team identified the area to be assessed and then develop a culture survey using a technology tool, monkey survey of 40 or less questions, which can be completed anonymously. The survey is so intricately designed that not even the demographic data of any employee can be easily detected. The result of the survey is categorized by race, ethnicity, gender, etc., which identify experience, skills, attitude, etc., these of which can be translated in the culture of the department. Combining the assessment components. The team will put together their findings regarding the areas of the organization or department they have diligently assessed for the culture competence. The findings are discussed and the necessary recommendations, and then the most practical and appropriate actions are made. Preparing the report and recommendations for management. The team prepares and tenders its report, which is purely based on their mutual findings and make preparing the report and recommendations for management. The team prepares and tenders its report, which is purely based on their mutual findings and make recommendations including the action plan to the leadership of the organization to improve the cultural competence. To complete the assessment, the findings, the recommendations, and final report are reviewed and approved by the General Assessment Team. Multiple perspectives in examining departmental cultural competence. To measure departmental and organizational cultural competence, the cultural imperative uses 4 different approaches. Each approach offers a significant and a thorough assessment of the department and organization, which lessens subjective bias by utilizing different data sources. Diverse assessment team. Forming an assessment team will ensure that there is diversity in its members. This, of course, will guarantee different views in assessing, interpreting data, and limit the possibility of everyone with the same views in the assessment process. Cultural stage. This stage determines and identifies how the department interacts. This is evaluated by using qualitative and quantitative methods, which will enable the assessment team to recognize the most suitable stage. Cultural competence capacity. To ascertain the existence of cultural competence within the department, the team that is responsible to make certain that it does exist look for evidence of programs such as policies and structures which are essential for the proper execution of services in the appropriate language and ethnic framework or context of employees. Department members' attitudes, skills, knowledge, and behavior. The results of surveys is used to determine department's performance. Both culturally and linguistically competent services as experienced by employees. Patient-centered care. One way to lessen health disparities is through patient involvement in their personal health care. There are several factors that play in patient health care that decreases health disparities, such as patient and family support, supportive workforce, technology, and regular feedback. The area of culturally competent communication was also a matter of concern as to whether patients would understand pertinent information. It is the understanding that the provider, the patient, and the organization would make communication comprehensible. Cultural fluency of organizations. In today's world of diversity, leaders will need special skills to know how to understand different cultures. According to Adler and Bartholomew, 1992, perceptions of global leaders need to acquire the following skills in today's diversity. One, understanding cultural background, which includes their business, politics, environments, etc. Two, perceptions of cultures. They would need to know the trends and the perception of the culture. Three, collaborate and inclusion. They would need to work harmoniously, um, work alongside persons of different culture. Four, coexist and communicate. They would need to be able to communicate and to be adaptable to different culture. And five, relationship of equality. They would need to relate to people of different culture and also not to be superior over them but work as equals.
Hey, that was good. Dr. Annette Clarke, thanks for that. So Dr. Clarke gave us an overview. Well, she had lectured on the tools used by organizations in order to ensure there is that there's competency within the organization as it relates to diversity and diversity management. So there you go, part two of our diversity training lecture. Right? We had part one before. Go ahead and look for part one, and this is just part two. of our lecture titled Dynamics of Diversity in Organizations. I am Dr. Canute White on behalf of Dr. Annette Clarke. Hey, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and goodbye.